Hi, welcome to Bake to the Future, the show where we examine what is happening in the baking industry with a future-focused lens. I'm Haley Blumenreich.
And I'm Katie Jewell.
Today we are talking about alternative fuels for bakery fleets.
And to help us understand this topic, we have Bob McGuire, Vice President, Director of Logistics at Alpha Baking Company, and co-chair of ABA's Logistics Professionals Group. Welcome, Bob, back to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Great to be back. It's been a long time.
Yeah, last time we talked to you, it was near the start of COVID in 2020, and we were talking about logistics then, and so it's a joy to be in person with you.
Yeah, that was an interesting podcast. It was an interesting time. If I'm not mistaken, it was May of 2020.
Yeah.
We were just into this thing and we didn't know what we were going to expect, how long it was going to take, how long it would take to get out of it, what it would look like. Now we have found out, and I'm kind of glad that it's kind of in the rearview mirror for the most part. We're still putting it together. It's been a challenge. It's been a challenging time for the industry. But I think that, it looks like brighter skies are basically ahead of us. So at least we're hoping so.
Yeah, and we're catching up with you at ABIE, so our listeners might hear some background noise, but there's a lot of happening around us, but we're so happy we had a chance to sit down with you here in person. And we really want to hear about your program around your logistics and how you've moved towards this more sustainable, focused logistical operation. So maybe you can just start by telling us your vision behind it and your recent success that you've had.
Yeah, it's great. Well, Alpha Baking, it's been a great story, really. We basically started on this project some 25 years ago, and we were looking for an alternative solution, energy solution to our vehicles. And around the turn of 2000, right around 2001, we started really getting serious, but there was really nothing commercially that was out there for the Class 5 bakery step van. And so we were looking, we were scrambling, and we had heard about vehicles that started running on waste vegetable oil. And it was a concept that seemed a little bit out there, but we decided to try it. And we literally retrofitted a tractor, a Class 8 tractor, and we retrofitted a Class 5 step van with kits that could literally supply the energy needed for our vehicles using waste vegetable oil. It really got started. We were motivated by it because of the fact this price of fuel had just hit $2 a gallon. And we thought, all right, where's this going? $2 a gallon for diesel.
$2 a gallon in 2000.
It was a lot because back in 1998, it was only $1. So we had doubled the price of fuel from 1997, 98 to here 2001, it might have been. So in about 3 or 4 short years, we had literally doubled the price of the cost of a gallon of diesel fuel. And we were kind of like going, okay, maybe it's time to get going on this thing. Maybe is there an opportunity to basically find an alternative energy solution? Is there an opportunity to be cleaner from the standpoint of the environment and basically taking a look at a cleaner solution at the same time? So that's how we got basically going on this.
And so I have on my notes here, why chicken bones? So I was not part of the backgrounding on this. Haley was that, and so that's why I feel a little silly asking this question, but it's on my sheet. Okay. So I want you to talk to me about chicken bones.
Well, it is a little bit funny why chicken bones would come into the conversation. When we started basically looking for sources of waste vegetable oil, we thought we were going to be smarter than everybody else, and we're figuring our customers are restaurants, and restaurants have fryers, and what we'll do is we'll make deliveries and we'll pick up buckets of waste vegetable oil. We'll come back and we'll run them through a filter and we'll put them in the tanks, and we go, man, we could have ourselves a closed energy supply here. We started that and we realized quickly into it that gets a little bit messy. Okay, so we looked for a source and we found a source of waste vegetable oil out of Pennsylvania. And they literally were picking up waste vegetable oil from a quick service restaurant group. But the filtration was not really regulated. And so there was a lot of problems. So when we ran the waste vegetable oil into our systems, we were ending up with a lot of chicken bones. And we were ending up with a lot of stuff, and it was clogging up the filters. So, we had some problems with that. However, I would say that the questions that we learned, the learnings that we got from pursuing them, that kind of a waste vegetable oil energy strategy. What we learned was what questions to ask. When the right energy source, alternative energy source, came along that nobody had any kind of business with in the past, any kind of experiences, we would be asking questions based upon based upon experience. It so happened to be waste vegetable oil, but we got a lot of it was kind of an interesting study. It was kind of a fun study. People used to say our trucks used to smell like French fries going down the street, and they did. And that wasn't all that bad either, because our customers loved it. Yeah. All the cars would follow us into the parking lots, and for some reason they were hungry. So it was kind of cute.
And did the trucks have apple baking on them too? So
yes.
they were identified as
yes.
like baking. They had baking products on them.
Yes, they did. So it was good, and it was a lot of learnings. We started working with a lot of smart people in the industry, a lot of engineers, and we gathered a lot of learnings. We presented to the American Baking Association our findings. And it was a good study. I think we ran that program for about a year or two. We went through the entire 4 seasons, if you will, up in Chicago, where that is it's a critical component of any alternative energy solution is the seasonality and the effects of weather. So we ran it for well over a year, and it was worthwhile.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes you learn things by you got to learn by trying.
You do. We stubbed our toe, but we learned. So.
And so maybe you can jump forward. So that seemed like the trial and error period. So tell us, like, jumping forward to today.
Yeah.
Where are you now with all that?
All right. Well, okay. So the funniness of this whole story doesn't end with waste vegetable oil. So we started looking into it, and back right around 2011. We were looking at, still again pursuing alternative energy solutions for our step van division, and we were going back and forth between gas and diesel, and there was a lot of conversation at the time about natural gas. There was conversation then starting to creep in about electric and about propane and hydrogen and a whole number of different applications. What we ended up doing was, after a lot of research, we found out that propane was a source of alternative energy it's homegrown. It is a clean energy. It's safe. A lot of school buses were run with propane-powered energy. So we ended up working with Ford and Roush and Penske, some 3 major players. And then Morgan Olson came into it, because what ended up happening was we ordered 25 trucks, if you will, that did not exist. The platforms for our application in the baking industry literally did not exist. And so we had to get Morgan Olson involved as well and literally put together the complete package. I'll never forget when I met one of the engineers on this project. He said, when I got the order, I looked at the salesman and said, we don't even make this product, but we felt that we could. So in other words, at different seminars like this, the value of these, you get together and you start saying, what if? The next thing you know, you're talking about something completely different than what you started with. And at the end of the day, that was what's kind of cool. So we ended up putting together, let's order 25 of these, let's get this going. And then the people in the trenches went, we don't even make that. So at the end of the day, we did put the trucks together. It was a tremendous learning. We may have been a little bit ahead of our time because there were issues, but the one thing that was really great about it was the ownership. It's really all about the Alpha Baking ownership that had the commitment to clean energy on this in the first place. So they kept going at it until we found something. And then we got the commitment from the people that we needed. So Roush jumped in. There's things that you find when you get into it. In other words, you find out that your trucks run great. We rolled them out in March. First snowfall, you find out the heat doesn't work that well with propane. And we're getting the windows were basically fogging up. And so outside the driver's not being able to see and basically being cold, we were running into problems. So they worked with us, we worked through the issues, and we went from the propane then, and then we went into electric. When electric came around, then we went into electric trucks, and now we're running a fleet of both propane and electric trucks, and they work. We've shared our learnings with the rest of the industry. What's really been cool about it is we've made a couple different purchases with these vehicles, and the industry has as well. So the industry's embraced it. The industry's running with propane trucks. The industry's running with electric trucks right now. And so it's kind of cool to see how that has basically developed over the years.
And all of this information that you're telling us, you've also shared all of your findings and everything with competitors, right?
Yeah, we have.
So why do that?
Well, we're part of the industry and the baking industry, and that's how it works. So, we compete, but we also come together and share best practices. And so, I have great friends with some of the competition that we would consider competition with, and some of my best friends are logistics folks at Bimbo and Flowers and H&S, and so we've been happy to share with them our findings. We've actually invited them to our locations where we basically operate these vehicles so that we could have question and answer with them. And as a result of some of that, they've actually gone out and participated and engaged and basically bought these types of vehicles for their own fleet. So it's been the proof's in the pudding, right? And the proof was like, okay, we purchased them the one time. Will we buy them again? The proof was we bought them a second time. So that's where I think things start to come together and you validate the first decision was a good one. So that's how it's worked.
It sounds like it's all kind of evolving. Like you've started in one spot and you kind of learned and grown, and then you learned about like propane and then electric. Mm-hmm. So what kind of do you see as the future of the different fuels, or what would you say is, maybe it's not even fuel related, but something in logistics that you see is going to be like the evolving next thing? Yeah,
well, there's a lot of things that are going on in logistics right now. Things that I never even envisioned years ago. I mean, technology's come that fast, and people talking about driverless vehicles. Well, it's hard for me to even envision that, but at the end of the day, I guess it's real. Electric tractors is obviously is really something that's coming a long way. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done with the batteries. There's still that unknown about how long will the batteries last, what's going to happen when they get to their end of their life cycle, the weight, how much weight you're going to have to carry with these vehicles. At the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of learnings, but the way technology, I think the commitment to that program is pretty good. Electric works great. I can say that our electric trucks, they run good. It's a different application than maybe the propane trucks. Propane trucks give you a little further range, if you will. I don't know if one shoe size is going to fit everyone's applications. In many cases, we need both shoes. We need the electric and the propane to optimize the use of alternative energy within our own depot distribution programs, but there's still a lot of talk about CNG, a lot of talk about hydrogen in the future. Where it goes, I don't know. But from my limited perspective, from my experiences, electric works, propane works, and I'm really happy to say because of the commitment that the Marcucci family, Rosen family, Alpha Baking ownership made. Our fleet has reached 5 million miles now in alternative energy. So 5 million route miles, that's a lot of routes, and their commitment, and I think it's resulted now in that kind of an achievement. So 5 million miles is where we're at today, and where we go in the future, I don't know, but right now it's pretty cool. I would say to you this, we did it for the right reasons. We did it because we wanted to basically kind of take some of the ebbs and flows out of the price of fuel. We wanted to kind of take a little more predictability, maybe lower things a little bit, but we also wanted to do it the right thing for the environment. That was a big factor. We wanted to do what was right. We wanted to do something that maybe could be homegrown, something right here at the United States, something very satisfying about sending a fleet of trucks out for the entire day, not utilizing any diesel fuel at all, but using basically propane, something that's homegrown, something here, good for our environment, good for our economy. At the end of the day, I think that's kind of a cool achievement. So those things that we set out to accomplish, even though it started with chicken bones, it ended up, I think, in a way that I think with some very good results, and results that I think are also will be greater in the future. So something that we're still building on, which is kind of cool. It wasn't a one and done. It wasn't like, okay, that was cool, but it's not sustainable. This is sustainable, so it's kind of cool. And when something else comes along, we're going to ask those same smart questions that we asked when we were basically pursuing the proper waste vegetable oil to put into our truck. So it's all good.
I look forward to asking you very similar questions as we asked today, but in 3 to 6 years, a few IBIEs from now, kind of see where we're at.
It will be interesting because in 3 to 6 years, the technology right now that's out there right now, they're just making major advancements. So I don't know where this is going to end up, but I think that we're positioned well to take advantage of the new technologies and the learnings to be had, because I think now we're asking smarter questions than we asked 20 years ago. So that'll get us along down that path a little even quicker, if you will. So,
with the recent fluctuations in oil prices, did you all feel like you were more steady because of it?
That's a great question, because I'll tell you what, when the price of fuel went up, it made me feel smarter.
You felt validated?
Because at the end of the day, the payback's in the gap between, the higher the price goes, the payback on the investments become greater. So when price of fuel went to $3, I'm going, oh man, I'm the smartest guy in the world. Then back then, price of fuel came back down, maybe 10 years ago. It was down to $2.50, and I go, I don't know if I'm that smart. Now it's going back up to $6.
And when we get back to $5 and $6.
Yeah, when it's up at 6, you're like, oh wow, feels good.
Yeah, exactly right. So, it's almost like, getting out of the market and the market goes down. You feel, oh, I'm glad I got out of it. It's the same deal here. So, and in fact, that was one of the strategies, was to kind of initially was to kind of hedge our bet. If you put all of our eggs in the basket of either diesel or gasoline, what happens when it goes out of control? This was a way of kind of hedging things. And so, it felt, it in some sort of, silly way, it felt good that.
I don't think that's silly. I think
not,
that sounds like it made your bosses happy.
It made me feel kind of like, okay, good. That was a smart. I'm a pretty smart guy. So that's good. That's a great question. But that's important, especially when it comes to the payback on all these strategies. Is where's diesel going to go? And as higher it goes, then the payback becomes even greater.
Certainly. Well, is there anything else you want to share with our audience before we wrap up?
No, I just think this has been great. I think the whole initiative's been great. I think that the industry's embraced alternative energy, which I compliment them on that. And they've done it for the right reasons as well. The executives within the baking industry have all gotten behind clean energy, and to see that kind of strategic commitment to such a major initiative, to such an important initiative, has been great. So I'm blessed to be part of it.
All right. Well, with that, we will wrap up, and we want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast again.
It's always fun. It's always fun. Thank you.
Fun. All right. Okay, and I'll let our audience know that they can let us know what they thought of the show by emailing hello@americanbakers.org or leave us a voicemail at bakedtothefuture.org. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts: Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, or Ghana.